There's nothing like a loaf of fresh baked bread, and this recipe is so easy. I'm going to weigh some of the ingredients like the yeast and the sugar. Then I'll add 3/4 of a cup of the water. I'm giving the yeast a head start. Adding warm water and some sugar will reactivate or wake up the yeast from its dormant state. This also helps ensure your yeast is still viable. If you have a stand mixer like me, you can use the dough hook to mix in the remaining flour, butter, and salt. Combine these ingredients together before adding the water. Add in the rest of the water, then knead on low speed until the dough comes together. The recommended setting for using the dough hook is speed 2. I'll remove the dough from the machine and briefly knead by hand to work the dough the way a machine can't. This is also the time to add additional flour if needed. I'll knead it until I create a smooth ball. Grease the mixer bowl with oil, then coat the dough completely and cover. Let it rise until it doubles in size, preferably in a warm place. Once the yeast is reactivated, it starts to ferment and release carbon dioxide. This is what makes the bread rise. Look at how beautiful the rise is. Once you've released the excess bubbles through kneading, you can measure the entire dough, dividing it into 2 to make sure the loaves are roughly the same size. Flatten each dough into a rectangle. Then roll each rectangle to create a loaf shape. Put each rolled loaf into a greased pan. Push the dough right down to the edges. These are standard loaf pans. I lightly coated them with some vegetable oil. Cover the loaves for a final rise. When the dough has finished its final proofing, brush each loaf with lots of melted butter. This will give your bread its golden color and delicious texture. I also bake my loaves on a tray for stability. Bake at 400 degrees for 30 to 40 minutes. Your house will smell amazing while it's baking. Cool completely on a rack before slicing. With some time and some love, you will get the most delicious bread.